Affordable housing is housing with a price below 300,000 ringgit with a minimum area of 900 square feet, excluding the balcony, and developed near public facilities. The United Nations Human Settlement Programme 2011, as cited in BNM Quarterly Bulletin 2017, adds affordable housing is of adequate quality and location along with the inexpensive price that will not prevent the household from fulfilling the necessity. The affordable housing project started in Malaysia during the first Malaysia Plan from 1966 to 1970, which was initiated by the government. Not long after, the private sector joined the project during 1971 to 1975, which is the second Malaysia Plan. Based on this chart, in 2021, the unsold residential properties which were priced below 300,000 ringgit that indicate affordable housing is 26%. Interestingly, the unsold residential properties which were priced above 300,000 ringgit that indicate unaffordable housing is 74%. Either or, they face the same problem. To note, within 30 years from 1990 to 2019, the average housing prices have increased 5.6 times, while the real income measured by GDP per capita has only grown 2.8 times. It means that the growth in housing prices has surpassed real income by 2 times since 1990. Home prices can also vary by state, such as 350,000 ringgit in Johor, 208,000 ringgit in Melaka. Johor has the most unsold housing with 6,441 units, followed by Pulau Pinang, Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Perak, and Sabah. This graph shows that median house price is far above the affordable housing price.
Now, let's move on to see the main issue. Firstly, low household income. Housing affordability suffers when housing prices go too much ahead of household income. This can be further supported by the argument that household income impacts housing demand because it is a benchmark for one's purchasing power that could affect an individual's ability to obtain a mortgage loan. As stated before, the prices of homes are already high, thus only with a higher household income, the purchasing power of a family or an individual increases, making it affordable to buy a home. Compliance costs added onto construction and land costs. So what is compliance costs? Compliance costs are all expenses that a company uses up to adhere to government regulations. In the context of housing, costs of land conversion premiums and contribution charges paid to utility companies. Part of these costs goes to the Improvement Service Fund for purpose of the beautification, construction or laying out of any public infrastructure, open space or water costs, whereas the capital contributions go to utility providers such as Tenaga Nasional Berhad TNB, Telekom Berhad TM, Indah Water Consortium Sendirian Berhad Indah Water, and water authorities such as Syabas, Syarikat Bekalan Air Selangor Sendirian Berhad for the provision of sewerage, telecommunication services, water and electricity in their projects. These costs will eventually be passed on to free market house buyers, causing a relatively higher selling price. The next reason would be a rise in raw materials costs. Any increase in material or construction costs will eventually affect the selling price. The developer will pass on the cost to the respective consumers or buyers in some way. The Building Material Cost Index BCI had increased in October 21, rising by between 0.1 and 2.3% in Peninsular Malaysia, according to the data from Department of Statistics Malaysia. The rise in the price of building materials such as cement, steel, iron was caused by the global increase in the price of coal and petroleum products, mismatch between supply and demand. Insufficient analysis on household data in housing plans often causes an inaccurate estimation of market demand and discrepancy in views between the households and developers. Consequently, product mismatch which will appear may lead to the rise of vacant affordable houses that cannot meet expectations and cannot benefit the people, such as there is no proper transportation system, too far from city centre, and workplace, roads and traffic congestion. This leads to property overhang. Let's look at why unaffordable housing is a problem to the people, economy and country. Dwellers that are facing one house issue typically face numerous risky housing circumstances that threaten the arrangement of their outcomes. Additionally, experiencing multiple critical housing issues can increase the negative effects such conditions have on the whole members physically, psychologically and emotionally. We can see that the outcomes indicated that housing stress often occur not only in family who pays more than 30% of their income on housing, but also on those who spend more on transportation, living in an environment that is not safe and staying far away from office and family, such stated in the mismatch of demand and supply. So the effect that it has on economy and country would be, as the cost of housing goes up in the community, people may not be able to afford to live there, so they move further out. Moving further out, away from hot markets, may be stopping people from working in locations with higher wages. This impedes the ability of businesses to hire workers and is not good for local economies.
The 10-year plan has stated that housing development will focus on the provision of adequate housing. Hence, the establishment of National Affordable Housing Policy (NAHP) is the most appropriate in order to provide comfortable, high quality as well as affordable house to improve the well-being of Malaysian community. Prima was set up on 1 January 2013 and has been consolidated under the Perumahan Rakyat Satu Malaysia Act 2012. It is to construct the quality home in urban zones and make them affordable for the middle income group. This program aims to plan, develop, construct and maintain high-quality housing with lifestyle concept for M40 household in key urban areas. The range of Prima house costs between 100,000 ringgit Malaysia to 400,000 ringgit Malaysia. It is open to Malaysian people who earn a monthly income between 2,500 ringgit to 15,000 ringgit. It is eligible for 21 years old and above Malaysian people who do not own more than one house. The effectiveness of Prima has been proven when the Prima Corporation has approved about 94,191 units as of 2018. The number of registrants have been increased from 2017 with 1,517,527 to 1,607,874 in 2018. Proceed to second government initiative, which is Rumah Rakyat Satu Malaysia. RMR, Rumah Rakyat Satu Malaysia, is actually a program established by SPNB in 2002, which is to help people with the low-income earning household to obtain a comfortable range of RMR house costs between 45,000 to 65,000 ringgit through government subsidy. It is open to Malaysian people who earn a monthly income between 750 to 3,000 ringgit. It is eligible for 18 years old and above for Malaysian people who do not own any housing unit. According to SPNB official website, the total applicants for this scheme had been reported by 173,840 in 2021. As yet, SPNB has approved some 15,196 units and a total of 7,634 units at a cost of 353 million ringgit Malaysia has been completed. Scheme Perumahan Mampu Milik Swasta was introduced in 2014 by the government. Through My Home, private developers are encouraged to develop affordable housing through two categories of homes, specifically My Home 1 and My Home 2. The main differences between these two categories lying in the size and price of housing. It works by providing a government subsidy to each home sold, helping reduce the cost for buyers while ensuring financial returns for the developers. Achievement of My Home scheme in 2020 recorded the number of incentive as much as 24.4 million ringgit Malaysia. It benefit as much as 808 receiver of this scheme. As of 31 November 2020, My Home scheme has approved about 120 projects, which consists about 9,420 units of house around Malaysia.
Okay, now we will look at some policies and strategies of other countries, which is slightly different from Malaysia. We make comparison with neighboring countries such as Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, Thailand, Philippines, and Vietnam. In Singapore, they build low-cost housing on limited land area. Over 80% of Singaporeans now live in HDB flats. As for Indonesia, they design policies for the middle to low income earners by outline, measured, and develop policies for the middle to low income group. In Thailand, they offered low and middle income citizens financial and housing assistance. They devised financial mechanisms that directly promote low and middle income earners accessibility to housing. Going to Philippines, they integrated and formulated different strategies to provide a successful affordable housing policies and projects. And lastly, Vietnam, in promoting affordable housing, they developed housing policies for the lower income bracket. From Islamic perspective, house is a basic need according to the Maqasid Sharia, and it can be classified into Daruriyat, necessities, which is the most important, and the purpose of owning a house is to protect life, mind, and property. Al-Furqan, chapter 25, verse 67, it is mentioned that one should not be excessive in spending and always be modest. Every citizen should always be wise in deciding to own a home that is not too expensive and excessive. The government also must ensure that every person may afford to own a house in order for them to be able to protect their life and retain their privacy, safety, and harmony.